So, hello everyone, welcome to Apex Triggers. We will discuss about the triggers today and we will take some scenario of the triggers so that we can clearly understand what is the triggers. So, trigger is nothing, trigger is something that it executed before insertion or the before any DML operation or the after some DML operation. What is DML operation? DML operation is data manipulation language. It is of the four type, that is inserting the record, update the record, delete the record, and the undelete the records. So these four are the operations that can be occurred on any type of data you can perform. Like you can insert the records, update the records, delete the record, and undelete the records. Okay, so trigger is any event happen on the time of DML operations. Okay, so before trigger, what we have, the flows and the process builder and the workflows. So why we need Apex triggers? Apex trigger is basically used whenever you want to do some complex scenarios in your business logic. Then after you can only use the Apex trigger. That work that is not possible from the flows, process builder, or workflows or the validation rules. So if you find that your work is not able to do with these things, then you can go with the Apex triggers. So what we find out in, and we make a thumb rule that for a given requirement, check if it is possible to point and click tools, if it is possible to do the work with the workflows rule, process builder, flows, and validation rule, then you go for that. If there is any complex thing you can do, you want to do with the Salesforce, so you can go with the Apex triggers. So before doing any trigger events, what is the events you can perform with the triggers? There is only 7 events you can perform with the triggers. Trigger can be performed before or after, before or after any DML operation. Means if you want to insert any record, so you can run your trigger before the record insertion or the after the record insertion. So there is two events. If you want to update your record, then there is two event, before update or the after update. And if you want to delete the record, so there is two trigger you can perform, before delete and after delete. Okay, these two, these two, and these two, and after undelete, because before undelete is not possible. So these are the 7 event you can perform on a any record through the trigger. So after inserting, Salesforce execute a order of execution so that he knows how to execute their flows. So behind the scene, if you insert or update any record, so behind the scene Salesforce executes some performance like this. Like, you insert or update or delete any operation, then before flows will run first, then before triggers will run after that, and after that there is a database, the data saved into the database but not committed that time. That means the data is not completely shown to the Salesforce. It is only saved in the database at that time, and after that Apex, after triggers, Apex will run. Then after workflows, then after process builder, then after flows, then the Salesforce commit the data into the Salesforce. So you remember, before flows, before Apex will run first, then save the data to the database, then after a after trigger, after flows will run, in between workflows, process builder, validation rule will run. So this is the order of execution. So I want to clear the picture again. After inserting the data, when you want to use the before triggers and when you can use the after trigger, this is the scenario. Before trigger you can use whenever you want to pre-populate any field on same record. That means if you want to insert any record and you want to pre-populate the uh, field, pre-populate the field before inserting the data, so you can use the before event. And these are the only two situation whenever you use the before trigger. So this is the very important thing. If you want to pre-populate the field on same record, so you use the before event. If you want to throw an error from the validating the rule, you use the before event. Except that in any of the situation you use after event. Okay, in before event you cannot do extra DML operation, like you are using the before event, and in a before event you mention the insert account, insert contact. No, this is not possible. Okay, if you want to do any DML operation, so you use the after insert, after operation. And before operation, when can you use the before event? When you want to pre-populate any field on same record or throw an error to the same record page. Okay, except that you use the after event. So we will discuss this thing clearly whenever we do the scenario. So go to the next slide. Okay, so what is the thumb rule we have made for the before and after event? We made the rule that if we need to update or pre-populate any field on same record, okay, this is one thing, or to fire any error validation, the record then go with before event, before insert or before event. You can do the before event. These are the two things. If you want to update or pre-populate any field on the same record, or throw an error validation to the record. So this is the two things. For these two, you use the before event, or for any other situation, you can use the after event. So this is my rule. Okay, go with the next slide. So take a scenario so that we can clear the picture of the things we can perform. So I have a requirement while user creating an account. Creating means insertion. So we want to insert anything. Okay. If user provide billing address but not shipping address, write a logic, populate shipping address with billing address. Okay. Means user provided billing address but shipping address blank, then shipping address should be same as a billing address. So we what we have in this situation, we need to find these three things: on which object we want to work, on which operation we want to work, on which event we want to work. Okay. So object is clear: account, user creating an object, creating an account. Okay, account record. So object is account, operation is insert, like creating means insertion is clear, operation is clear. And what is why what is my thumb rule for before and after? Let me check. So this is my rule: pre-populate any field on the same record. Okay, pre-populate any field. So this is the first situation we are doing, in which we want to pre-populate the shipping address as same as billing address. Okay, so we will go with the before event. Okay, so how can we achieve this? We will see it. So this is the code we can write, in which we have used the if loop, in which trigger dot is before and trigger dot is insert. What this statement send to us, this will send us the true or false. This will send us a true or false. If both condition will be true, then this code will be execute. Okay, that means if you want to insert the record and trigger the record before inserting the record, so this will run before an event insert. Okay, and in a for loop, so in a for loop, what we are getting, trigger dot new. Trigger dot new is giving us a new record which is getting inserting. So this is the instance of the trigger dot new ACC record. ACC record, but we have checked that here, ACC record dot, that means this is the bulkify code. So just a minute, we will discuss this code after some time. Let me finish the full trigger code. So this is code, this will discuss after some time. And this is the final slide, in which we have used while writing a trigger. So best practices while writing Apex trigger. So for each and every object we can write a single trigger. Okay, this is the first practice. But every time you should be the bulkify your trigger. If you want to add the multiple records with the data loader, so the our code should take the responsibility to get the best result. So you need to bulkify with the for loop. Okay, avoid DML operation in a for loop. Okay, in a for loop, if you give the DML operation, so it will execute again and again, so it will get the error. It will get the it will hit the government limit. Okay, so it you should not put the SQL queries in a loop. So do not write logic in trigger, use trigger handler. Trigger handler is something like you create a class. From the class, from the trigger, you call that class and their method and pass a parameter like trigger.new, so that it will get into that and your trigger will be clean and sharp. Avoid hard coding ID. That means you do not require to any put any hard code ID in their code. Prevent recursion triggers. Use comment to make your trigger readable. Okay, these are the best practices we will follow whenever we write a trigger.